In the heart of a deep, shadowy forest lay the enchanting kingdom of Eldramore. It was a place where moonlight danced on the surface of shimmering lakes, and ancient trees whispered secrets only the night could hear. The air buzzed with magic, yet it felt heavy with an unshakable gloom. Eldramore was ruled by a mysterious figure known only as the Vampire King. His name echoed through the kingdom, striking both fear and fascination in the hearts of his subjects. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. The Vampire King was a powerful being, cloaked in darkness and adorned in fine garments that seemed to shimmer like starlight. Yet his solitude became a prison woven from his own sorrow and loss. Legends spoke of how he once had a queen by his side, a woman whose beauty and kindness lit up the castle. But she had vanished without a trace long ago, leaving the king to wander his vast halls alone, haunted by her memory. As he prowled through the night, the king felt an emptiness that no amount of power could fill. He roamed away from his castle, seeking solace among the sprawling woods that surrounded his realm. Each step in the damp earth reminded him of what he had lost. Every rustle of leaves echoed with unanswered questions about her fate. A stark contrast awaited him in the nearby village. Here, life unfolded under struggles and hardships. The villagers toiled daily, their faces marked by fatigue and worry as they sought food to survive. They whispered tales of the Vampire King with fear, but also with a curious spark. Many wondered why such an imposing figure remained in solitude while they battled their own demons. One evening, while wandering through the hidden paths of the forest, the Vampire King paused to listen to the soft sounds of nature around him. Suddenly, he heard a faint rustling nearby. Curious, he stepped closer and discovered a frail woman slumped against a tree, her face pale and weary. She looked as if she belonged to another world, a world far removed from this dark realm. The woman stirred slightly as he approached, but it was clear she was on the brink of collapse. Her tattered dress told stories of sorrow, the fabric worn from hardship and neglect. The king's heart, so long encased in ice, felt an unexpected warmth course through him at the sight of her vulnerability. Was this mere chance or fate intervening? With careful hands and a gentle demeanor unknown to him for centuries, he knelt beside her. As he lifted her gently into his arms to carry her away from danger, something inside him sparked, a flicker of recognition that sent shivers down his spine. This weary woman had not simply collapsed. She carried with her an unseen connection that would soon unravel the mystery entwined within their fates. One steeped in darkness, yet brimming with hope for what was to come. As the moon hung high in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the village of Eldramore, a kind-hearted woman named Alara toiled in her small garden. The villagers knew her for her warm smile and gentle spirit, but they also saw the weariness etched on her face from years of hard work and struggle. Each day was a battle to find enough food to feed herself and the few people she cared for, including her aging father, who now depended on her as much as she once depended on him. Alara's life revolved around caring for others, often sacrificing her own needs. She spent long hours rummaging through the woods for herbs and berries, hoping to find something to add to their meager meals. Despite her hardships, she remained optimistic, believing that kindness could flourish even in the harshest of circumstances. Her heart was always open, ready to help anyone in need, whether it was offering a warm meal or a comforting word. Unbeknownst to Alara, there was a secret buried deep within her past, a royal heritage lost to time. She carried with her an aura of grace that set her apart from the other villagers. But she had no knowledge of what she truly was. The tales whispered by the elders about a long-lost queen had faded into myth, leaving only fragments of truth obscured by time and sorrow. On that fateful evening, as Alara gathered berries in the dense forest, she felt the weight of exhaustion pressing down upon her. Her body ached, and the cool air seemed to sap her strength. Just as she reached for one last handful of berries, darkness began to swirl around her vision. The world spun before her eyes, and despite her efforts to stay upright, she collapsed against a tree. While her body lay limp on the forest floor, Alara's mind drifted into memories. Fleeting images of laughter and light danced just beyond her grasp. Faces flickered through her thoughts. A mother with a kind smile, a father with gentle hands. But these fleeting images slipped away, like smoke in the night. Back in his castle, the Vampire King felt an inexplicable pull toward the woods. As he carried Alara in his arms, he noticed something remarkable about her. There was an innate strength beneath her fragile exterior that resonated with him. Though she was unaware of their connection, he sensed that she held a piece of his past within her very being. As Alara lay unconscious, the silver light of the moon illuminated her delicate features. A soft breeze brushed against her skin, almost as if nature itself sought to awaken the dormant memories hidden inside her. The king's heart raced as he realized that perhaps fate had brought them together at last. A chance to uncover the truth about who they were meant to be and restore what was lost so long ago. The moon cast a magical glow over the forest, illuminating the path where Alara lay helpless. The sounds of the night wrapped around her like a blanket. Crickets chirping, the gentle rustle of leaves, and the distant hoot of an owl. But for Alara, those comforting sounds faded into silence as she slipped into unconsciousness, her body resting against the cool earth. Meanwhile, deep within the heart of Eldramore's dark woods, the Vampire King wandered under the silver light of the moon. He often roamed these paths, seeking solace from his solitude and reflecting on his lost queen. Tonight felt different. There was an electric energy in the air, almost as if the very forest were calling to him. Each step echoed softly against the damp ground as he moved through the trees, feeling an inexplicable pull towards something unknown. As he ventured deeper into the woods, he caught a wisp of something, a scent that stirred his instincts. It was faint but rich with life. Curiosity guided him forward until he stumbled upon a scene that halted him in his tracks. A frail figure slumped against a tree. Alara's delicate features were illuminated by moonlight, revealing the exhaustion etched on her face. The king's heart quickened at the sight of her vulnerability. Something about her seemed familiar and profoundly stirring. He stepped closer and knelt beside her, feeling an overwhelming surge of emotions he had not experienced in centuries. "Who are you?" he whispered softly to himself, though she couldn't hear him in her unconscious state. As he scanned her face, recognition flickered at the edges of his mind. The warmth in her features ignited faded memories that tugged at his heartstrings. He gently lifted her into his arms, cradling her tenderly as if she were made of glass. She felt light and fragile against him. Yet there was an undeniable strength emanating from her spirit that resonated deeply within him. He could sense that she carried more than just weariness. There was something extraordinary about her, a hidden depth that hinted at great power and importance. Carrying Alara through the winding paths of the forest, he couldn't shake off the feeling that their destinies were intertwined. The night was thick with mystery as he navigated past ancient trees that had stood witness to generations before them. The wind seemed to whisper secrets only they could understand. As they approached a clearing bathed in moonlight, he stopped to take in their surroundings. The beauty of nature surrounded them. The flowers glinted like jewels beneath the stars, and fireflies danced like tiny spirits flitting about in joyous abandon. In this serene moment, he placed Alara down gently on a soft patch of moss. Her breath came softly now, and with each rise and fall of her chest, hope began to bloom within him. Perhaps this encounter was not merely chance, but a chance for redemption. A path leading them both back to a long-lost home they never knew they shared. As night deepened around them, it felt like destiny had finally brought forth its long-hidden truth. The moonlight shimmered around them like a soft embrace, as the Vampire King laid Alara gently on the patch of moss. The world around them fell silent, as if nature itself held its breath, waiting for what would happen next. He studied her delicate features, hoping she would awaken soon, and that he might discover the truth behind their strange connection. As Alara began to stir, her eyelids fluttered open to reveal deep, soulful eyes that sparkled like twin stars. For a moment, confusion clouded her gaze, but then something shifted within her. In that instant, the king saw a flicker of recognition cross her face, a brief spark that sent shivers down his spine. It was fleeting, yet it was enough to awaken long-buried memories within him. "Alara," he whispered breathlessly, as if speaking her name could tether the fragile bond between them. She blinked again, and a slow realization began to wash over her. The weight of his presence felt both foreign and familiar. It was as if she had known him in another life, one filled with light and laughter. The Vampire King knelt beside her, his heart racing with hope that he had not dared to entertain for centuries. He reached out gently, brushing a stray hair from her forehead. "Do you remember me?" he asked softly, his voice trembling with emotion. Alara's brow furrowed as she tried to gather her thoughts. I don't know," she stammered, confusion mixing with a deep-rooted instinct that whispered of familiarity. Yet as she gazed into his eyes, those piercing orbs that seemed to penetrate through time itself, a rush of images flooded her mind. A grand castle, laughter echoing in vast halls, a beautiful garden filled with blooming roses. And at the center of it all stood a dark figure cloaked in mystery, the Vampire King. "I have searched for you all these years," he confessed, unable to hide the vulnerability in his tone. "You are my queen?" A wave of shock surged through Alara at his words. She sat up slowly, her heart racing as emotions tangled within her. Could it be true? Was there really a past she had forgotten? The warmth emanating from the king called to something deep inside her, a sense of belonging she had never known amidst her struggles in the village. As memories continued to swirl in dizzying patterns, she saw flashes of laughter and love shared between them, a life filled with joy before destiny had torn them apart. Yet doubt lingered as well. How could this be? "Am I truly your queen?" she murmured softly, seeking confirmation of the impossible truth. "Yes," he replied earnestly, locking eyes with her. "You were lost to me for so long, but now I have found you again." In that moment, surrounded by the enchanted forest and under the watchful gaze of the moon, they both felt the gravity of their intertwined fates. The time had come for them to reclaim their history, or create a new one together, rising from the ashes of their pasts into the light of an uncertain but hopeful future. As Alara and the Vampire King shared a moment of newfound understanding, The air around them shimmered. And suddenly, they were enveloped in a swirl of memories. Visions of a distant past that had been lost for far too long. In this flashback, the grand halls of Eldramore came to life. The castle was filled with laughter and light, where beautiful chandeliers hung from ornate ceilings and sunlight poured through stained glass windows. Alara, dressed in elegant gowns that flowed like water, moved gracefully through the ballroom. The Vampire King stood by her side, captivated by her beauty and kindness. They danced, their laughter echoing against the marble walls as they celebrated their love in a world that felt timeless. But beneath the surface of this joy lay shadows. Whispers of jealousy and betrayal circled among those who envied the Queen's radiance. Dark forces plotted in secret, stirring up chaos as they sought to claim power for themselves. One fateful night, as a storm raged outside, an ominous figure slipped into the castle. Cloaked in darkness, this intruder sought vengeance against the king, believing that if he could take away what he loved most, the Queen, they could weaken his rule. Through the howling winds and flashes of lightning, Alara sensed something was amiss. She wandered through the castle's labyrinthine corridors, drawn by an inexplicable urge to protect her home. In her heart, she felt a deep connection to the land and its people. It was this bond that made her feel not just like a queen, but also a guardian of magic itself. Just as she reached a dimly lit chamber at the heart of the castle, she found herself face to face with a dark figure. Panic surged through her veins as she tried to reason with him. But before she could speak another word, he unleashed a powerful spell that engulfed her in shadows. A blinding light erupted around them as reality twisted. Then everything went dark. Back in her memory-laden trance, with the Vampire King by her side, Alara gasped at what unfolded before her. Visions of fear and loss engulfed Eldramore after her disappearance. The kingdom fell into despair without its queen. Crops failed, and darkness seeped into every corner as hope dwindled. The king was left desolate, wandering his castle in solitude, while his once vibrant realm transformed into an echo of sorrow. The memories faded like smoke, dissipating in daylight, leaving Alara breathless as she grappled with what she had witnessed. "I remember now," she whispered shakily, eyes wide with realization. "They took me. But how? Why?" The Vampire King looked deeply into her eyes, with renewed urgency and determination. "We will uncover the truth together," he promised fervently. "You returned to me for a reason." As they stood under the moonlit sky, surrounded by an ancient forest alive with secrets waiting to be revealed, both knew their journey was only beginning, a quest not only to reclaim their lost love, but also to restore hope to Eldramore once more. As the moon hung low in the night sky, casting a silver glow over the clearing, the Vampire King felt an unfamiliar tug at his heart. Alara's presence reignited something deep within him, hope. Her awakening from that long-forgotten past sent ripples of emotion coursing through him. Yet, alongside that hope came a chilling sense of duty tied to his dark nature. He gazed at her, still processing the weight of her recognition and their shared history. The truth was undeniable. She was his queen. But he couldn't escape the darkness that clung to him like a shadow. His soul bore scars from a time when love had been pure and innocent. But now it felt tainted by years spent alone and consumed by sadness. "What if I bring you harm?" he murmured to himself, pacing restlessly at the edge of the clearing. His internal struggle echoed in his mind like a haunting melody. He longed to embrace her, to protect her with all his power. Yet he feared what his presence could mean for her fragile spirit. What if I am no longer the man you once loved? Ilara watched him from where she sat on the mossy ground, concern etched across her features as she sensed his turmoil. "Why do you hesitate?" she asked softly, drawing closer despite her weakness. "I am bound by darkness," he confessed, his voice trembling with emotion. "I've lived so long in shadows, and I fear that my darkness could corrupt the light within you." He turned away, unable to meet her eyes, burdened by centuries of guilt and regret. Ilara's heart ached for him. She sensed that every word he spoke carried remnants of a painful past. "But I remember who you are," she urged gently. "You were my king, the one who brought joy and warmth to this realm. A part of me knows that love still exists between us." Her words hung in the air like blossoms suspended on a breeze, weaving around them and wrapping them in a deeper connection. For the first time in years, he felt the cold grip of isolation begin to loosen its hold as warmth seeped into his heart. Hope flickered again within him, igniting sparks of courage. Yet doubt loomed large. He recalled how betrayal had shattered their lives before. Would it happen again? Could embracing their bond truly save Eldramore, or would it lead to its further ruin? "Time changes everyone," he said solemnly. "Can we return to what we once were? Or am I destined only to lose you again?" Ilara reached out, placing her hand softly on his arm. Her touch sparked electricity between them. "We will uncover our truths together," she promised with quiet determination. "Our past does not define us. It is our choice moving forward that will shape our future." His gaze met hers, searching for any hint of hesitation, but finding only strength and compassion reflected back at him. Inhale after inhale filled him with both anxiety and resolve as he stood there wrestling with fears born from decades of solitude. With each breath, he made a choice to face this journey together, to confront both light and shadow, not just for themselves, but for Eldramore's salvation as well. Embracing her hand firmly within his own, they became allies against the encroaching darkness. A pair bonded not only by love, lost, but by hope revived. As Ilara slowly opened her eyes, the world began to come into focus. The silver moonlight bathed the clearing around her, illuminating the gentle features of the Vampire King who knelt at her side. She felt warmth beneath her, the soft moss that cradled her body contrasting with the cool night air. For a moment, she marveled at the beauty surrounding her. But as clarity returned, so did the memories that swirled like autumn leaves in her mind. "Where am I?" she whispered, still disoriented. "You are safe," he reassured her softly. "I've brought you here to protect you." Ilara's gaze drifted from his face to the shadows surrounding them, and fear began to creep in. As fragments of their past resurfaced, laughter shared in sunlit gardens, moments etched in happiness. Intriguing feelings flooded through her. Recognition mixed with confusion and a hint of terror. The king's dark reputation echoed in her thoughts, filling her with trepidation about who he truly was. I remember you," Ilara stammered, pinching herself to confirm this extraordinary reunion was not merely a dream. "You were my king." She hesitated at the word king, unsure if it still held meaning after all this time apart. His expression darkened for a brief moment, a shadow crossing his features before he replied, "Yes. I have been lost without you, my queen." The title sent shivers down Ilara's spine. As those words resonated within her, dread intertwined with hope. If he was indeed the Vampire King, the ruler feared and whispered about in hushed tones throughout the kingdom. What did it say about their past? Could she trust him now when so much had changed? Would he only bring more harm into her life? Alara shifted backward instinctively, creating a distance between them despite still feeling his warm presence beside her. "You were supposed to protect me," she cried out in panic, "but you were gone. How can I believe your love is real?" "I never wanted to lose you," he said earnestly, each word laced with urgency. "I searched for you after that fateful night, after darkness took you from me and plunged our kingdom into despair." His pain resonated deeply within her heart. She could see it etched into his very soul. Still grasping for answers, but pushed by uncontrollable fear of what lay ahead, she shook her head slightly, as if warding off his sorrowful plea. "Do you really expect me to trust you again?" Alara's voice wavered as conflicting emotions surged within her. Years of longing almost drowned out by fear. The Vampire King reached out tentatively, but withdrew his hand at the last moment, sensing how fragile she felt. "I may be a creature of darkness," he admitted slowly, "but it is your light that guides me back to who I once was." Tears welled up in Alara's eyes. She was struck by his honesty, but also by the seeming impossibility of their situation. He carried heavy burdens alongside hope and love, all tides crashing against one another. "Together," he finally urged gently, after a long silence filled only with rustling leaves and muted breaths. "If we unite our strengths and clear everything that divides us." Peering deep into his shimmering eyes, those radiant orbs reflecting both shadows and stars, Alara felt an inkling of reassurance flicker within herself. Perhaps their intertwined fates held more than confusion and fear. Maybe they could repair what had been broken long ago and rekindle hope for themselves and Eldramore alike. In the days that followed Alara's awakening, a fragile bond began to form between her and the Vampire King. Each morning, the silver light of dawn painted the clearing, and they would sit together beneath the whispering trees, sharing stories that began to stitch their fractured pasts back together. The king approached these moments with utmost care, his heart aching to show her kindness as he sought to rebuild the trust that had been so violently shattered. At first, Alara remained cautious. Echoes of fear still pulsed through her veins every time she recalled his dark reputation. Yet there was something in his eyes, a flicker of warmth and humanity, that gradually eased her apprehension. He would bring her wildflowers from the forest, their vibrant colors a stark contrast against the muted tones of their surroundings. As he handed them to her with a gentle smile, she felt a warmth bloom within her, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. "Thank you," she would say softly, hesitantly accepting his gestures. With each flower presented, each gentle word spoken, Alara found herself unlocking memories once buried deep in shadow. Her laughter returned gradually as they shared stories. He recounted tales of grand feasts at the castle and playful moments spent flitting among blooming gardens, while she added pieces of recollection about her duties and responsibilities as queen. The Vampire King would listen intently, each detail filling in the gaps of history with vivid colors. As they conversed under the vast sky, Alara began to recall snippets of laughter shared during sunset dinners and whispers exchanged beneath starlit skies. She remembered feeling cherished and powerful when she stood in her role alongside him, a guardian of their realm. One evening, as dusk fell like a shroud over them, Alara took a deep breath and found herself speaking words unplanned, yet true. "I remember feeling at home in your presence." The vulnerability in her voice startled them both, but also drew them closer as the gravity of those words hung heavily in the air. with hope rekindling inside him at her admission. The vampire king leaned closer. "You are my heart," he confessed quietly, emotions swirling within him like a tempest longing for peace. "I knew I had lost you long before darkness claimed our kingdom." His sincerity struck a chord within Ilara. It echoed through her soul like an ancient melody revived after years of silence. Though uncertainty lingered like morning mist upon water's edge, she could feel herself softening towards him. Little by little, each interaction nurturing trust instead of fear. Yet doubt still lingered at the edges of their blossoming connection. Was this renewed bond genuinely built on love? Could she ever fully embrace him without fearing what shadows loomed behind? As if sensing her internal conflict, he reached for her hand, a tentative gesture which felt electric between them, and squeezed gently. "We will face whatever comes together," he reassured her solemnly. Ilara looked down at their joined hands, a symbol not merely of connection, but also promise. And for the first time since awakening in that clearing, she believed they could rewrite their story into one not defined by loss, but filled with resilience and newfound strength. Together, they ventured into uncharted territory, where hope had once seemed extinguished. Step by step, they forged ahead toward an uncertain future, one that held both danger and promise. Determined to rebuild what had been lost to time and darkness before it was too late for Eldramore and themselves alike. As Ilara and the Vampire King nurtured their connection in the safety of the forest, unrest began to brew within the kingdom of Eldramore. Whispers spread like wildfire among the villagers and loyal subjects, carrying news of the king's actions, his newfound tenderness towards Ilara, and his apparent vulnerability. Many began to question his strength and resolve, believing that such displays of emotion were signs of weakness. In the castle, shadows flickered along the stone walls, mirroring the anxiety that gripped the hearts of those who served him. Loyal advisors gathered in hushed corners, exchanging worried glances as they discussed the implications of their ruler's behavior. "The king has changed," one whispered, his voice laced with concern. "He is letting his heart guide him instead of his power." News of Ilara's presence at the castle ignited further speculation. Some claimed she was merely a distraction, an enchantress sent to lead him astray. Others believed she posed a threat to their kingdom's stability, fearing that her reappearance would awaken old enemies who thrived on chaos and division. Meanwhile, Ilara remained blissfully unaware of the turmoil unfolding beyond their secluded sanctuary. She felt lighter each day in the king's company, her laughter ringing through the trees as they shared stories and rekindled memories. However, unbeknownst to them both, the very connection that was healing them was also stirring unease among those who had sworn loyalty to a ruler defined by strength rather than kindness. As tension escalated, a group of discontented nobles convened in secret meetings to discuss their dissatisfaction with the king's new approach. "We cannot allow him to be swayed by sentiment," one noble declared, his eyes fierce with determination. "A ruler must remain steadfast. If he shows weakness, we risk losing everything we have fought for." Emboldened by their fear of losing power, these nobles plotted against the king and sought ways to undermine his authority. They spread rumors among the villagers that he had grown soft, using tactics to incite fear about a potential invasion or upheaval if he continued on this path. The stakes grew higher as they rallied support from those who felt abandoned by their monarch. Back in the forest clearing, Ilara sensed a shift in the air, but couldn't understand why it felt heavy with uncertainty. One evening, as twilight settled in around them, she noticed the king gazing off into the distance with furrowed brows, lost in thought. "What troubles you?" she asked gently, placing a hand on his arm. He turned to her, masking his concerns behind a brave face, but unable to hide the flicker of worry in his eyes. "I fear for our kingdom," he confessed quietly. "There are those who do not understand our bond and see it as a threat." Alara's heart sank at his words. She could feel the weight of responsibility resting upon her shoulders, even amid their moments of joy together. "What can we do?" she asked earnestly. "We must show them that love does not weaken us," he replied fiercely, determination igniting within him once more. "Together we will prove that strength comes from unity, not just power alone." But doubt still lingered at the edges of their resolve. Could they truly change hearts hardened by years of tradition? With hope intertwined with uncertainty, they knew they had to face not only their pasts, but also an uncertain future fraught with challenges ahead. As they prepared to return to Eldramore together, both determined to confront those who opposed them, Alara felt a new sense of purpose ignite within her. She would stand beside her king not just as his beloved, but as a beacon of light meant to guide their people back toward hope and harmony amidst unrest. With determination in their hearts, Alara and the Vampire King set out to uncover the truth about her past and what had led to her estrangement from the kingdom. Each day, they roamed the enchanted forest together, searching for clues hidden in nature's embrace. The air was thick with anticipation as they ventured deeper into a world steeped in secrets. One morning, while exploring a secluded glade surrounded by towering trees, Alara stumbled across an ancient stone archway, overgrown with ivy and adorned with delicate carvings. Intrigued, she brushed away the greenery and gasped at what she found. Symbols that looked familiar, yet elusive. "Do you recognize these?" she asked the king, who had come over to join her. His brows furrowed as he examined the inscriptions. "They seem to depict scenes from our past, of loyalty, unity, and betrayal," he said slowly. "It appears this place may hold memories of your time as queen." Alara's heart raced as she traced one of the carvings with her fingertips. An image of two figures standing side by side under a crescent moon. Was it possible it represented their union? The memory warmed her chest, giving life to scattered fragments of her past. Together, they vowed to delve further into these mysteries. They spent hours discussing theories and piecing together stories. Some told through faded paintings on castle walls, others shared by the lingering whispers of traveling merchants who passed through Eldramore. In time, they found more remnants of Alara's forgotten life. An old diary buried beneath vines near a crumbling fountain on the castle grounds. Her name beautifully etched into an ancient book of royal lineage hidden in a dusty library. Even an intricately crafted locket containing portraits of loved ones. A treasure long lost to time. With each piece discovered, Alara felt herself reconnecting with the woman she once was. The queen who inspired hope and unity among her people. And soon she could visualize the vibrant lives surrounding her once again. Yet amidst this blossoming hope for understanding lay shadows of doubt that taunted them both. With each revelation that surfaced also came reminders of their past wounds. Hurtful betrayals brewed by jealous nobles who had spurred Alara's disappearance. "We must be cautious," warned the king during one such evening, filled with laughter echoing around them. "There are still those who would see us apart and will do anything to regain control." Alara nodded solemnly. Reality threatened their dreams like storm clouds, looming on an otherwise clear horizon. "But we can't let fear dictate our journey," she declared firmly. "If we're meant to be together again, we will reclaim not just our love, but Eldramore itself." United by purpose and driven by resolve, they promised that each step forward would be guided by honesty and strength rather than deceit and rage. As another glorious dawn broke over Eldramore, the colors bleeding vibrantly across sky. They held onto hope intertwined with lessons learned from rediscovered truths while preparing themselves for whatever lay ahead. Together, they embarked into uncharted territories, forging pathways not only within their hearts, but also throughout a kingdom yearning desperately for healing alongside rekindled love anew. As Alara and the Vampire King continued their journey of discovery, the bond between them deepened, blossoming into a friendship filled with laughter and mutual understanding. Each day became an adventure as they explored the wonders of Eldramore together, the weight of their past gradually lifted by shared moments that sparkled like sunlight through leaves. One afternoon, while wandering along a sun-dappled path lined with wildflowers, they stumbled upon a hidden glen where the air was fragrant with blooming jasmine. The king picked a blossom and playfully tucked it behind Alara's ear, causing her to giggle. "You wear it beautifully," he said with a warm smile, watching as her cheeks flushed a soft pink. "Perhaps I should wear flowers more often," she replied teasingly, her laughter ringing like music through the trees. In that moment, any lingering doubts about their connection faded away. Joy filled the space that had once been heavy with uncertainty. In another instance, they discovered a sparkling stream where colorful fish darted beneath the surface. The king challenged Alara to a playful contest to see who could catch one bare-handed. As they splashed in the cool water, their laughter echoed off the stones, creating a symphony of sound that drowned out all worries. After several failed attempts and plenty of giggles, they finally managed to catch a fish together, a small but lively creature that flopped excitedly between their hands. "This is ours," Alara exclaimed triumphantly. They released it back into the stream after taking turns admiring its iridescent scales. "We make a good team." "Yes," he agreed, his gaze lingering on her joyful expression. "Together, we can face anything." As days turned into weeks, their friendship grew richer through shared stories and quiet moments under starlit skies. They spoke of dreams and fears alike, Alara recounting tales of her life in Eldermere, while the king opened up about his solitude and longing for connection after losing her. During one particularly serene evening, beneath an expanse of twinkling stars, Alara turned to him with thoughtful eyes. "Do you ever regret what happened? The choices we made?" she asked softly. He paused for a moment before responding honestly. "I regret losing you and our kingdom's happiness," he said gently. "But I do not regret finding you again." Alara felt warmth spread through her heart at his words. They forged an unspoken promise between them, a commitment to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. Yet amidst this newfound joy lingered shadows from their shared history. The threat from discontented nobles still loomed in the background like an approaching storm cloud. Despite all their laughter and lightheartedness, both knew they would need to confront this unrest soon. But for now, in this sanctuary among ancient trees and gentle breezes, Alara allowed herself to embrace each moment spent with him, as if time stood still. Together, they built memories meant to last beyond darkness, to weave threads of hope into the very fabric of Eldramore itself. With every shared smile and laugh echoing through the glen, they crafted foundations strong enough to withstand future storms, building not only trust, but also resilience as true allies who embraced both light and shadow alike on their journey toward reclaiming love and restoring harmony within their realm. As Alara and the Vampire King reveled in their growing friendship, shadows loomed over Eldramore, threatening to tear apart their newfound connection. The discontented nobles, emboldened by their fears of losing power, began to scheme against the king and Alara, determined to maintain the status quo of isolation that had haunted the king for so long. In hushed tones, the nobles gathered in secret chambers of the castle, where flickering candlelight danced upon cold stone walls. Their faces were etched with disdain as they plotted. Each detail sharpened their resolve like the fangs of a predatory beast. If he continues to show weakness, and if that woman continues to influence him, our reign will be at stake. One noble warned, his voice low but filled with venomous conviction. We must act swiftly, another added, eyes glinting with malicious intent. We can spread rumors that she is an enchantress sent to lead him into a trap, a distraction from his duties as ruler. Just outside these machinations, Alara remained unaware of the storm brewing within the castle's walls. She spent her days with the king exploring their kingdom and rebuilding what had once been lost. Although joy infused their moments together, a gnawing uncertainty began to brew in the back of her mind as she noticed the way whispers quieted when they entered a room, or how eyes darted away when theirs met. One evening, as they shared stories beneath the vast canopy of stars, Alara turned to the king with concern etched on her features. "Do you think they truly believe I would harm you or Eldrimor?" she asked softly. The Vampire King's expression darkened as he contemplated her words. "They fear what they do not understand. My fondness for you shatters their notion of power, something so many desire to control." Alara felt a pang in her heart. She had never intended to become a wedge between him and his loyal subjects. "We must show them that our bond makes us stronger," she suggested earnestly. "But how?" Just then, rustling noises broke through their tranquil moment. A band of nobles lurking in the shadows nearby, eavesdropping on their conversation. Startled and curious about how much they could overhear, Alara felt adrenaline surge through her veins. The nobility would not let this bond flourish without opposition. "They may try to divide us," the king warned gently but firmly, "but we cannot allow that to happen." With determination filling her spirit anew, Alara nodded resolutely. "Let's confront them head on." Together, they devised a plan. To openly address their relationship before the court. To speak candidly about love's power and its potential for uniting rather than dividing the kingdom. As difficult as it felt, they knew it was essential for restoring harmony in Eldrimor. Days later, with courage bolstering their hearts, Alara and the Vampire King stood before an assembly of nobles in the grand hall, adorned with banners representing unity and valor. Each breath trembled with anticipation as murmurs rippled through the crowd, eyes wide with curiosity mixed with skepticism. Addressing those present with unwavering confidence, Alara took a step forward beside the king. "I stand here not as an outsider, but as your queen," she declared boldly. Gasps echoed among those gathered. Some wore expressions of disbelief, while others revealed flickers of hope. "We will face challenges together," the king added passionately, taking her hand and holding it high before them all. "Love will guide us as allies against darkness." As murmurs swelled into cheers and even hesitant applause, Alara sensed that perhaps this was just the beginning. A journey not only toward reclaiming their love, but also fortifying Eldrimor against shadowy enemies determined to keep them apart. Together, they faced not just ambition, but forged strength from unity, ready to embrace both light and dark on their path ahead. As Alara and the Vampire King continued to navigate their challenges, an unexpected revelation began to stir within Alara. While exploring an ancient grove one afternoon, she felt a sudden rush of energy course through her veins as she brushed her fingers against the bark of a centuries-old tree. It was as if the very essence of Eldramore breathed life into her, awakening something dormant and powerful hidden deep inside. "Do you feel that?" she asked, glancing at the king, who stood nearby, observing her with a mix of curiosity and concern. He nodded slowly, his expression serious. "This place is filled with magic. Perhaps it is awakening your own." Intrigued by the notion, Alara closed her eyes, allowing the energy to flow through her. Images flashed before her mind's eye. Flashes of light and power, memories of grand celebrations in which she had once danced with grace and confidence. Suddenly, a bright vision emerged. Alara wielding a radiant light that illuminated the darkness around her. The sense of strength enveloped her like a warm embrace. "I remember," she whispered in awe. "I remember being able to harness power, magic that belonged to me as queen." The realization struck her with exhilaration mixed with fear. She had not only been a ruler, but a guardian of magic itself. The weight of her royal heritage began to settle upon her shoulders like a mantle she never knew she had lost. "Your powers are tied to your identity," the king said gently, stepping closer to her side. "You were meant to protect this kingdom and its magic." Alara opened her eyes, determination shining within them like stars igniting in the night sky. "Then I must learn how to embrace this power," she declared resolutely. "I cannot let it go to waste when Eldramore needs us." With the king's encouragement, they began training together in secret. He helped guide her as they practiced drawing forth the magical energy that pulsed beneath their feet and surrounded them like an unseen force. Each attempt brought laughter and joy, even amid challenges. Their shared moments growing more precious as Alara discovered new abilities. One evening, under a canopy of stars, Alara conjured flickering lights that danced around them like fireflies, weaving through the air. "Look!" she exclaimed with delight as they twinkled above their heads. The Vampire King watched in admiration, pride swelling in his chest. "You are becoming who you were always meant to be," he praised softly. Yet amidst this journey of self-discovery lay shadows lurking at the edges. A reminder that not everyone would welcome Alara's return or newfound powers. Whispers among discontented nobles grew louder. They feared what they could not control and plotted against both Alara and the king in hopes of regaining their influence over Eldramore. But with every passing day spent training alongside each other, Alara felt more empowered than ever before. She no longer saw herself merely as a fragile woman lost in time, but as a fierce queen ready to reclaim her rightful place beside the king. As dawn broke over Eldramore one fateful morning, casting warm golden hues across the land, Alara took a deep breath, filled with newfound purpose. Together with the Vampire King by her side, united by love forged from adversity, they would face whatever lay ahead, enemies within and without, and rise together toward a brighter future for their kingdom filled with hope, restored through courage and strength intertwined. As Alara and the Vampire King grew stronger in their connection and newfound abilities, a great danger loomed on the horizon, threatening not only their bond, but the very stability of Eldramore. The discontented nobles, realizing that Alara's awakening powers could empower her claims to the throne, decided it was time to act decisively. Whispers of a plan began circulating among them, one that sought to eliminate Alara and restore their control over the kingdom. One stormy night, as thunder rumbled through the air, the king and Alara sat together at a stone table in the castle's library, reviewing maps of Eldramore. They had been planning how to address the noble assembly when a loud crash interrupted their focus. The door burst open, revealing a hooded figure cloaked in shadows. "Your reign ends tonight," the figure growled, stepping forward as they pulled back their hood to reveal a face twisted with malice. A former ally turned traitor who had once served the king. "Don't you see? Your love for this woman has made you weak." He spat, his voice echoing ominously against the stone walls. "Join us, or perish with her." Alara felt panic rise within her, but quickly steadied herself, channeling the power she had begun to embrace. "You underestimate us," she said firmly, stepping forward beside the king. "Together, we are stronger than any betrayal or darkness you can conjure." The traitor laughed derisively, raising a hand to summon dark energy swirling around him like a storm cloud. "You think your love can save you? Let's put that theory to the test." In an instant, shadows erupted from his fingertips toward them like tendrils of smoke. The Vampire King instinctively shielded Alara with his body, but she felt an unfamiliar surge of magic rise within her, an urge to protect him in return. With a determined heart and newfound courage pulsing through her veins, Alara extended her hands toward the oncoming shadows. A radiant light burst forth from her palms as she unleashed her power for the first time fully awakened. The two forces collided in an explosive clash, a brilliant light meeting dark energy in a dazzling display. The shockwave sent both combatants sprawling backwards, the traitor struggling against Alara's brilliance, while she pressed against his darkness with all her might. "We will not be defeated by fear," she shouted fiercely. The king watched in awe as Alara fought against their enemy. Her strength radiated courage that spread through him too. He joined her side with his own powers igniting alongside hers, a formidable duo rising from adversity. As they combined forces into one resounding wave of light, it engulfed their enemy completely, weakening his dark hold until he finally fell back in surrender and despair. Gasping for breath but feeling triumphant together at last, they turned back to each other amidst crumbling shadows, dissipating into nothingness. "It worked," Alara exclaimed breathlessly with joy, lighting up her eyes. The king smiled widely for perhaps the first time in ages. Hope illuminated his features as he gently took her hand again. "This is only the beginning," he said earnestly. "Together we can face whatever comes next." They embraced tightly amid lingering doubts, replaced by resilience forged through battle. A bond now strengthened by shared triumph against darkness, and steeled for whatever challenges loomed ahead. As dawn broke on Eldramore once more, after fierce conflict had faded into whispers carried by gentle winds above them, both knew their journey was far from over. United, they would steer their kingdom toward restoration and harmony, readying themselves to embrace both light and shadow on this path forward into destiny intertwined anew. After the harrowing confrontation with the traitorous noble, a palpable change swept through Eldramore. Alara's victory was not just over darkness, but also the beginning of acceptance among those who had once doubted her place in the kingdom. With the aftermath of the battle still resonating like ripples in a pond, the king decided it was time to solidify Alara's role as queen before the assembled nobles and citizens. The day of the ceremony dawned, bright and clear, an omen of hope shimmering in the golden sunlight that bathed the castle grounds. Vines entwined with vibrant flowers decorated the courtyard, transforming it into a vibrant tapestry. Nobles, villagers, and magical creatures gathered from all corners of Eldramore, united in anticipation. Whispers danced among them, carrying excitement and uncertainty as they awaited the profound moment that would cement Alara's acceptance as queen. Taking Alara's hand in his, the Vampire King led her to a raised platform draped in regal fabrics. The throne stood majestically behind them, gleaming with significance. "Today marks not only your ascendance as queen, but also our unity," he said, his voice resonating with conviction. "You are not merely a symbol. You are a beacon of strength for this kingdom." As Alara stepped forward to address the crowd, she felt a mixture of nerves and exhilaration surge within her. She took a deep breath, centering herself in the moment, ready to embrace her identity fully. "I stand here before you today, not just as your queen, but as your sister in arms," she began, her voice steady and clear. "Together, we will rebuild what was lost and restore our kingdom to its rightful glory." A wave of cheers erupted from the crowd, lifting her spirits and filling her with resolve. Yet even in this jubilant atmosphere, remnants of doubt lingered among some nobles who had yet to fully accept her return. As she spoke of unity and healing, Alara highlighted her commitment to protect Eldrimor's magic that had not only brought them together, but intertwined their destinies forever. "With each challenge we face, we will grow stronger. We will learn from our past and embrace our future together," she declared confidently. The Vampire King stepped closer, his heart swelling with pride for Alara as he stood beside her. No longer just a powerful ruler, but a partner sharing both love and purpose. Together, they sealed their vows with a gesture meant to solidify their connection. They intertwined their hands over the ceremonial sword, a symbol of protection and strength for their kingdom. Once finished with their vows, they turned as one toward the crowd. Sunlight caught in every eye as Alara held up her arms like an architect revealing a new foundation. "Let this day be a new beginning," she proclaimed before lowering her arms slowly, causing an uproar of applause followed by joyous laughter that swept through Eldrimor. With this new acceptance coursing through the kingdom's spirit, a light threatening to dispel all shadows, the healing process had begun. Citizens returned to their daily lives filled with renewed hope. Gardens that had wilted now bloomed back to life, drawing energy and vibrancy from Alara's resurgence. However, both Alara and the king remained aware of the continuing threats lurking beneath the surface. The discontented nobles may have retreated for now, but whispers still echoed in darkened corners. They were determined to cultivate unity within Eldrimor, while staying vigilant against looming dangers. Hand in hand, triumphant yet cautious, Alara and the Vampire King prepared themselves for whatever lay ahead, ready to foster resilience within their realm as they journeyed together into the light of a new era, forged by courage, love, and shared purpose. Hope flourished where darkness once reigned. United, they would usher in harmony where fear had so long held its grip on Eldrimor's soul. With Alara now officially recognized as queen, a new chapter began for both her and the Vampire King. The kingdom of Eldrimor, once shrouded in darkness and despair, seemed to pulse with vitality once more. Colorful banners flowed in the wind, each emblazoned with the symbol of their united reign. A radiant sun rising above a crescent moon, signifying rebirth and hope. In the days that followed the ceremony, Alara threw herself into her newfound role, engaging with citizens and hearing their concerns. She walked through bustling markets filled with laughter and commerce, where children played and vendors sold their goods. Each smile she received strengthened her resolve to restore the kingdom's heart. The more she interacted with her people, the more they embraced her presence. They recalled stories of a queen who once brought joy to their lives. Yet amidst this flourishing atmosphere, shadows still lurked in corners. Rumors and plots continued to swirl among a few dissenting nobles who remained vocal about their dissatisfaction. They questioned Alara's capabilities as a ruler and cast doubt on the bond between her and the Vampire King. "Can she truly lead us?" they whispered behind closed doors. "Or will she plunge us back into chaos?" Alara was aware of these whispers, but refused to let fear deter her mission. One evening, under a sky sprinkled with stars, she approached the king as he stood at the edge of their castle balcony, looking out over the kingdom. The moonlight wrapped around him like an embrace, radiating strength and solitude. "Do you think they can be swayed?" she asked softly, stepping beside him. He turned to her, eyes reflecting both love and concern. "Change takes time," he replied thoughtfully. "But we must show them that together we can forge a stronger future." Taking his hand in hers, Alara felt emboldened by his unwavering support. "Then let's open our hearts to them," she proposed passionately. "Let us invite our subjects into our world so they see for themselves how love can thrive amid adversity." The king smiled at her determination. It reminded him of the woman he had loved before, brave and unyielding. "I will stand by your side," he vowed. With renewed purpose fueling their desire for unity, Alara devised a plan. A grand feast meant to celebrate hope, while showcasing their commitment to healing Eldramore together. Invitations were sent far and wide. Nobles from various houses were included alongside commoners from every village. As preparations for the feast unfolded in the days leading up to it, excitement buzzed throughout the kingdom. However, beneath this careful arrangement loomed apprehension among some nobles who plotted within shadows while fuming at bitter glances exchanged between them. On the night of the event, adorned in elegant garments embroidered with symbols of unity, Alara stood beside the Vampire King at the head of a long table surrounded by revelers. Laughter echoed around them, while dishes filled with sumptuous delights were served up beneath twinkling lights strung overhead. As speeches of gratitude began rolling off Alara's tongue like poetry shared among friends. Even those skeptics had no choice but to witness her genuine love and devotion towards Eldramore, and perhaps feel inspired by it as well. The warmth of acceptance spread through those gathered that night. Old grievances began melting away like frost yielding to spring's bloom. As cups clinked in joyous celebration, filled not only with drink, but also renewed hope. Walls erected by fear started crumbling bit by bit. In unison under starlit skies, among merry voices celebrating togetherness instead of division, a vision materialized. One where light would triumph over darkness across Eldramore. All thanks to a queen whose heart united its people alongside a king dedicated anew to fostering resilience for tomorrow's dawns ahead. As laughter mingled with music that filled every corner on this momentous night, a promise forged, accepted under binding ties built around trust. Hope blossomed where once only shadows had reigned supreme in their hearts, defining one shared destiny, moving ever onward toward brighter tomorrows, yet envisioned beyond sight's reach.